So, and this, I think this is what shows that most clearly. So, the Schick Amani pathway, the EPSP enzyme that is inhibited by glyphosate. Let's show you that again, right? The EPSP enzyme is what the bacteria have. And glyphosate then acts on this to kill the bacteria. Now, some species of bacteria have figured out that they can replace that one essential glycine at, at position number 96 in the amino acid sequence. They have been able to replace that glycine with an alanine, and you can see here that they are also very similar in shape. And guess what? That made them resistant. That made the bacteria resistant to the glyphosate. So what does that say? That essential glycine molecule was the target of glyphosate in the Schick Amani pathway the whole time. So you can, I'm going to try and say that better. These bacteria have figured out a way to be resistant to glyphosate, and that is by replacing the essential glycine with an alanine. So glyphosate, then we can presume its mechanism of action was that it went for that glycine, which is now no longer there, so the glyphosate is not effective. That's what I'm trying to say. I think that's a huge piece in looking at the glycine and glyphosate dynamic. So another bit of evidence that glyphosate replaces glycine in the body, Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, one of my mentors, in an interview with Dr. Mercola, shared some information. He has reported anecdotal clinical experience that high doses of supplemental glycine have increased the excretion of glyphosate in his patients. And he says that this will last for 2 to 6 months before it drops off again, after which he presumes that most of the residual body glyphosate that was in the body has then been excreted because it was replaced by the high dosage of glycine. He believes that high dose provides enough glycine for the body to make new detox enzymes, first of all, including the cytochrome P50 enzymes and glutathione that we saw. But it also provides the body with enough glycine to incorporate that instead of the glyphosate that had taken its place. And again, that's his opinion from clinical experience. Another theoretical mechanism is that not only does glyphosate chelate beneficial minerals, but in some instances it is assumed or hypothesized to actually increase the uptake and the toxicity of aluminum and arsenic. So according to Stephanie Seneff, it can be expected that glyphosate would similarly allow orally delivered aluminum to gain access to the vasculature, although this has not yet been demonstrated experimentally. Again, from Dr. Klinghardt, glyphosate binds all the trace minerals and they are no longer available for absorption. However, there's one exception, and that's aluminum. It works like a shuttle agent for aluminum. It binds aluminum, takes aluminum across the gut wall into the tissues, and distributes it in a chaotic way. Again, that's from Dietrich Klinghardt based on his clinical experience. To my knowledge, there's nothing that shows this specifically. But if it's true, aluminum toxicity has vast implications for human health. And this study, which was about the rice paddy workers in Sri Lanka that all got a massive epidemic of kidney disease among this certain population. They were trying to figure out why. And they proposed in this article that the glyphosate that these workers in the rice paddies were spraying actually enhanced the toxicity and the accumulation of the arsenic that was naturally existent in their environment. And that is what contributed to the high rates of kidney disease. So again, this is theoretical, hasn't been shown for sure, but I think we're getting pretty close. One final theoretical mechanism is glyphosate has been shown to cause depression, anxiety, and despair behavior in mice because of the effects it has on their gut bacteria and the balance of the bacteria there. So what are the implications for humans? We know serotonin is made in the gut by beneficial bacteria that glyphosate kills. So, is there a connection there? I'm not saying glyphosate is the only cause for anxiety and depression, but certainly it's connected. Here's a graph from Dr. Seneff again, and it just shows you the red line here is the amount of glyphosate that has been sprayed in the country. Well, on corn and soy, I guess specifically. And you can see right here around 96, 97 is where it starts to go up. And that's also where the anxiety among the general population. Now, this is hospital discharge anxiety, so it's like official diagnosed anxiety. Also started to go up at about the same rate in about the same way as the glyphosate usage. Now, I know that this does not prove causality. This doesn't mean glyphosate causes anxiety. You could just as easily say more people are anxious, therefore they're spraying glyphosate to get rid of their weeds. It could go either way. I realize they could have nothing to do with each other. But in light of all the evidence, we know that it affects the gut bacteria. We know that's where your serotonin is made. Clearly, there's some connection. And I believe in the near future, we'll get a better picture of what that looks like. So over the course of this, I've noticed what I call the 1-2 punches of glyphosate. It's like glyphosate does damage, but it also makes your body less able to deal with the damage that it did. So it's like a 1-2 punch. And here are some of the examples I came up with. Not only does glyphosate cause intestinal permeability, it also kills the bacteria that help heal the permeability. Not only does glyphosate kill the beneficial bacteria, it also encourages harmful bacteria. Not only does it steal beneficial minerals, it also enhances the potency of harmful metals. Not only does it present a toxic threat to your body, it also suppresses your ability to deal with toxins. And it suppresses the production of glycine, and then we think substitutes for that very glycine in the protein synthesis. Now, 1-2 punches of glyphosate continued. Not only does Monsanto, which is now owned by Bayer, know that glyphosate is harmful, it's been shown in court that they've known this whole time, yet they continue to sell it, and they say they will continue to vigorously defend this product, which has a 40-year history of safe use. So they're not giving up, people. They're not giving up. So what can we do? You'll see the background of this slide is a paper by Gildea, Roberts, and Bush, which highlights the effects of the product they developed called Restore. It's basically the anti-glyphosate. It fixes the damage to the tight junctions that's caused by glyphosate. So we want to talk about some solutions. That is certainly a solution. It's been proven many people that I know have experienced vast symptom relief in autoimmunity and also food allergies after taking Restore because it helps regulate those tight junctions again. But what are some other things we can do? Let me get out of the way. Buy organic whenever possible. Like I said, even organic food contains amounts of glyphosate, but less is obviously better than more, and you got to do what you can do. You've got to do this whenever you can. Some other things, seriously consider growing your own food, as much of your own diet as you can. I believe that's a step we're going to have to take, as a country, as a species, moving into the future. It's going to have to happen because it's not sustainable with the amount of glyphosate, let alone everything else that's being sprayed all around us all the time. We're just talking about glyphosate. And that's enough reason to grow your own food, let alone everything else that's happening in our environment. Don't buy Roundup. Don't buy genetically modified foods. Don't support that company. Don't support the paradigm that says these things are okay. Don't do it. You know, I really believe we can make a big difference. The non-GMO project typifies that. You know, even big brands now, like Kellogg's and that, they're starting to want to get certified by the non-GMO project. Now, let me distinguish, non-GMO doesn't mean there's no glyphosate. Be aware of that. But my point is, we can have an effect on these things. Also, speak with your community, your township, your schools about what are they spraying in the parks, in the school playgrounds. You don't want it to be glyphosate. You don't want your kids rolling around in this stuff, breathing it in, soaking it in through the skin. You just don't want that. Try to be respectful when you communicate your concerns, because this really, really is a huge issue. And lastly, work with a healthcare professional to determine your need for and possible dosage of Restore, this supplement that we talked about. I believe it can be helpful for many people than might even think they need it, if that makes sense. It's going to be a huge part of the answer to the damage that glyphosate is doing in our bodies and in our species. And another interesting little thing I just found to wrap this up, ginkgo biloba has also been shown to reverse the effects of glyphosate. And just real quick, this study showed that in rats, it actually ameliorated or reversed the indices of liver toxicity, kidney toxicity, lipid peroxidation, and DNA damage. It actually reversed the damage that was done by applying glyphosate to these rats. So, quick word of caution. The dosage they used for a 150-pound person would be 10 grams. So the average dose of ginkgo biloba is 120 milligrams. I don't think this is really necessarily a viable option or something you'd want to do, but it does show that there are things out there that can reverse the damage that is done by glyphosate, and hopefully we'll just keep getting a better and better picture of those kinds of things. So that is going to wrap it up for my presentation. Here are my references. Thank you all for listening, and take care.